Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joao Miranda. I'm a project officer from CINEA, and I'm going to be one of the moderators of this panel, together with Marco Pieve from Piaggio. So this session is entitled The Next Generation Electrified Vehicles for Urban and Suburban Use. It comes from the namesake topic from the Building a Low Carbon, Climate Resilient Future Green Vehicles CAL. So the projects we are going to see here today, they are focused on providing adequate, environmentally friendly and cost-effective solutions to face the challenges arising from the increase of populations in urban areas. So according to the statistics at the time of the call, by 2050, so the year of delivery of the Green Deal, 67% of the population is expected to live in urban areas. So these larger and smarter cities bring a lot of opportunities for vehicles focused on the commuter needs and the last mile delivery. So these new vehicles, they should take the control, they should take a central design focus, not only their sustainability, but also flexibility and modularity, to promote synergies with other transportation modes and increase intermodality. This said, the first project we're going to have here today is Leonardo, and is going to be presented by Paulo Suspiro, who is the project manager. So thank you very much, and please, Paulo.
Thank you very much. Does it work? Yeah, perfect. First of all, thank you very much for inviting us. And I'm Paolo Sospiro, project manager by University of Florence. And the scientific coordinator of this project is Professor Dario Vangi. And these are the main the partners of the project. So it is in 9 countries. And well, I just want to get 1 minute in order to, let's say, how can I say, to introduce some of the aspects that we faced, during this period. This is a project that started, has been written during the COVID, and has been set up right after, the last part of the COVID, and then started, during, let's say, the situation of the supply chain failing, and then the war and so on. So I didn't see anybody, during this, let's say, during these days, talking about the 3 elephants in the room regarding, these 3 aspects. That means the COVID period, the supply chain failing, and as well as, the war. But for this kind of project, that means hardware project, that means you need to buy goods and something like this, it is really tough. And then it is really challenging. But we discover as well as some positive aspect. That means the motivation by the partners, the motivation by the single people, and even, the support by the agency and even by the officer. Let's say that, and of course, dealing with in a situation of highly digitalized, context such as the European Union, our institution, and so on. Of course, we can be able to be really silent and then manage, to develop the project. And then this is very good, aspect and positive aspect of this experience. On the other hand, of course, these are not justification, and then we can be able as well to reach our let's say, our targets. So overall project presentation, then what we are doing, in this project, it is to develop a new vehicle, micro vehicle. So that means in between, let's say, a monowheel and a scooter, which should be lighter, faster, agile, flexible, and as well as, let's say, environmental sustainable. So these are the main aspects of this project. Take into account, the different aspects, of course, or the different problems are facing, the people living, in the city, as mentioned, by the moderator. Then the results are different in terms of, let's say, of the project. The first one, it is the regulation. Especially, I mean, for the scooters, actually, different cities, different, let's say, countries are regulating, I mean, these kind of vehicles in a different way. There are problems with the speed limit, there are problems with the, let's say, driver license, there are problems with, let's say, the power limit, and as well as, I mean, accidents and safety and so on. So there are different kind of problems. So with the WUFO, which is our partner from the regulatory point of view, which is based in Germany, it is one of the best, let's say, institution in this area. We analyzed the different regulatory framework in the different European countries and try to understand which might be, I mean, the best way to figure out, I mean, these kind of issues. And the first, take into account that, for instance, I mean, let's say, developing something hardware, is not easy, especially during the COVID, because you have to go to the mechanical, I mean, lab and so on. So it was a bit tricky, but we can be able, I mean, to prepare, I mean, the pilot. So that means the prototype, and that was the first prototype. And one of the features of this vehicle, it is even that is foldable. So it is lighter, foldable, and very compact. So it means that you can use it, and then you can get the bus, for instance. So it is very important. The other one, it is the two wheels are different. The forward one is bigger, and the backward is a smaller one. So this means that the vehicle is more stable, more safe, and as well as we can insert, I mean, in the forward wheel, we can insert as well the engine, the motor. So this is very important aspect. So we developed the prototype, and it works quite well. Of course, we tested as well, I mean, the electronic part, and actually it's working, let's say, we are quite satisfied, let's say. So these are the different prototypes we did, and at that time, of course, we tried to develop, I mean, the prototype with aluminum and so on. But then the idea, it was, I mean, to going forward towards, I mean, the situation of the sustainability, environmental sustainability, of course, to develop this vehicle in terms of composite and so on. For different reasons. One of them, it is the sustainability, but the second one, it is to reduce the cost, and the third one, to increase, I mean, let's say, the production process. That means in terms of time, we are going to decrease the time of the production. And actually, I'm going to show you, I mean, a short video about where we stand at this moment. So the Rome, it is one of the pilots that we are preparing. And this is the prototype we are testing in Rome. One of the points is with this forward wheel, I mean, for that kind of, let's say, of streets, that means with the pave or something like this kind of vehicle is more stable and safer. So this is a very important point. The other point it is that the vehicle is going to be, let's say, managed through, let's say, pushing, I mean, the steer, I mean, forward or backward. So you can accelerate in this way. So this is an important aspect. And the other, of course, as I told you, it is that it is foldable. So these are the main aspect, and the next one, it is this one. So once we prepare, I mean, the prototype, this will be the final, let's say, result. So as you can see, the vehicle will be, well, quite appealing from the design point of view, will be for sure very light, and the engine will be in the wheel, and it might be, let's say, modulated the speed and the power through the electronic system. So in this way, I mean, the vehicle will be, on the other hand, as well, something very exciting to drive, especially for the young people, let's say, and so on. But it is very nice to drive because it is, let's say, quite flexible and agile. So that's it. And the other result it is we applied for some aspect that we would like to improve in this vehicle and include, let's say, how to improve as well, I mean, the smart mobility as mentioned before by the moderator and so on. So we applied for a live project and in December we started, I mean, this second project, which is going to accompany for the last part of the our Leonardo project in order to improve. Especially in the live project, we are going to improve, I mean, the batteries, we are going to improve the engine, and we are going to improve as well as, I mean, the, let's say, the electronic part. Particularly in the live project, then we are going to substitute, I mean, the batteries with the super cap. With the super cap, it means that we can be able, I mean, to let's say extend, I mean, the life cycle, but as well as, I mean, the life of the battery every day. And of course, a swapping and recharging system. So this is what we are going to do in the last part of the Leonardo, and we are going to transfer as well on the life project. So these are the, let's say, the mid to long-term impacts, and we are going definitely to improve, I mean, let's say the generally speaking, how to live, I mean, in a city with this kind of vehicles, because it means that we can have a different kind of batteries, we can have a different kind of, let's say, or we can use it, I mean, swapping and changing, I mean, a different type of, let's say, of transport system. That means we can use the vehicle, and then we can get the bus, or we can get the metro, and then we can come back to our Leonardo vehicle. So it is very important aspect. And these are some other mid to long-term impacts, and so daily city transport, courtesy vehicle, touristic vehicle, and some other, let's say, aspects that should be taken into account. One of let's say, of the challenge that we are going to tackle in this year, in 2023, it is how to manage this kind of vehicle with different kind of context. That means in terms of hills, or which is especially, I mean, hills, because it is a very big problem in terms of regulation. That means the speed limit and the power limit is going to be a big problem when you are going to live in a city which is composed by, let's say, hills and valleys and so on. So in that case, I mean, in the valleys or the flatter area, I mean, the speed limit, the power limit, it's not a big issue. But when you are going to start to, let's say, go up, I mean, in the hill and so on, there are a big problem in terms of the speed and in terms of the power generation and the engine. So in this case, actually, we are trying to improve, I mean, this situation through the electronic aspect, but increasing as well the power, let's say, of the engine. That's it. I hope I was, I mean, on time. Thank you very much for your attention, and
Okay.
I will be going to...
Thank you very much, Paolo. So the second project presented today is reflective and is presented by Jenny and, I'm sorry, Pipuri Makelainen. And she is the project coordinator. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks a lot, Joao, for the very nice introduction. So, as said, my name is Jenny Pipuri Makelainen, and I'm the project coordinator of Reflective, which is about the development of reconfigurable light electric vehicle. And somehow I feel that this is like the perfect spot to give this presentation now after the previous session, because in the previous session there was a little bit raised the question that should we develop these electric vehicles of 2.5 tons, or should we maybe a little bit think about the other options as well. And I feel that in Reflective project we are sort of doing that, like developing other solution for the transportation. I'm not saying, of course, we need the let's say the premium quality vehicles as well, but maybe in some cases this kind of smaller, a little bit less performing options could be quite nice. And having said that, I will next present a little bit like the key figures and key things of the project in short, and then I will go to the results, and then last to the impact aspects. So the Reflective Consortium comprises 10 partners from 8 countries. We have 3 large enterprises, Teeny Drives, AVL and IDIADA on board. Then we have 3 small and medium enterprises, which are CIRIC, Sensible4 and Auatec. And then we have 4 research partners, which are VTT, CIRE, Unicusano and UL. And as you can see from the map, we come really from the northern part of the Europe and then the most southern part of the Europe. So we are sort of familiar with all the possible conditions that there can be in the European area in terms of the environment and other aspects as well. The maximum grant amount of from European Commission, it is nearly 6 million euros, but the overall budget is 7.5 million euros. We started this activity in February 21, and we are just having the last year of the project. So we are just entering the manufacturing and then the demonstrations and things like that, but I will tell you more about that later in the presentation. And of course, we have a web page. Feel free to visit it after the presentation. Then about the objectives. I a little bit already highlighted about the objectives, but really it is about developing this kind of a small, compact, usable vehicle for the urban environment. And specifically this vehicle that we are developing, it's a heavy quadricycle in L7E category. And we have certain key points that we want to address in the project. One is the right sizing. We want to right size, I have been mentioning already many times how light and small the vehicle is, so that's the one key point. But the other one is the dimensioning of the powertrain, so that we don't carry on like all the time too big of an amount of battery capacity or power in the motor. Then we want the vehicle to be suitable for different operations. So we want it to be applicable to transportation of people and transportation of goods, because this could maybe enable a better utilization rate for the vehicle and maybe enable its connection better to the different services that we already have in the urban areas. It was very specifically mentioned in the call text that the vehicles developed under this call, they need to be safe. And that has been one key point in the whole project. And there was actually a quite strict requirement for meeting these Euro NCAP 4 to 5 stars. And this is a crucial point in the project. And furthermore, of course, the vehicle needs to be energy efficient. And in that respect, we are targeting at 10% increase to the level of the year of the preparation of the project. And furthermore, we wanted to maybe bring some additional elements as well to sort of promote the acceptability and the usability of the vehicle in different scenarios. Then I will move forward for the results section, and for the results I have at the moment prepared like 5 slides. And first of all, we wanted to a little bit think about like what are really the urban missions that the vehicles need to execute in different areas. And we did so that we selected 2 areas from the consortium members. One is the Helsinki capital area and one is Regensburg in Germany. And we chose these specific areas because they are quite different by nature. So Helsinki, if you have visited Finland, we have big area, but we have very few people, so they are quite long distances, and often when you travel from place to another, you also are the distances are longer than in many urban areas, and also like you are driving with a higher speed in comparison to, for instance, Germany, like Regensburg city, which is this kind of a historical, super beautiful small town with narrow streets and things like that. So we chose these for a purpose to show a little bit different urban areas that we have in Europe. And what we did then is that we actually modeled this kind of like missions, typical missions or daily routines of the people and the vehicles in these specific areas, combining this kind of mesoscopic activity-based transport modeling with then taking the input from that to a microscopic simulation of the vehicle operation. And what we got as an end result was like this kind of a set of typical driving cycles in the areas, and from those we could find out like what are the typical ranges that the vehicles are moving daily, and what is the energy consumption. And we found that for the cases that we were studying, the maximum trip distance observed was about 50 kilometers, and the energy consumption was from 0.08 to 0.11 kilowatt hours per kilometer. And this was quite important. These were quite important figures for us to dimension the powertrain and to bring these developments forward. And this task has been completed, and there also has been synergies between the other projects funded by European Commission. So my colleague, Dr. Jan Todorov, will give a presentation about the STORM project tomorrow morning, in which a little bit similar approach for finding out the driving misses, the duty cycles and drive cycles has been utilized. Then really this whole vehicle design, it has been a great adventure because it was started from the scratch, and it has been like a it has been very, very interesting process from the packaging, from finding the components, for finding the correct positions of the components and putting everything together in an iterative manner. And besides this kind of an inherent part of this whole design process has of course been the safety, and like it has been done in a very, very closed loop with different partners, especially like Auertech as the vehicle manufacturer having a big role, and also IDIADA as a major automotive player. And what is the status today regarding the design activities is that almost all the parts and pieces are ready for the production. Auertech, our vehicle manufacturer, has been building this kind of prototype zero, with which they have been able to analyze if the vehicle is easily accessible and if it's usable in that respect. And then the vehicle manufacturing, fingers crossed, should start in March, April this year. So we are going towards very interesting times in the project. And I also want to highlight that there are synergies between the Reflective project and the URBANIZED project that will be presented shortly, which we have been able to exploit to get good results from the work. And as I mentioned, the structural safety has been an integral part of the whole project and all the activities, and it has been carried so that there is, like, every time we have updated the design, there has been a campaign of crash test simulations in order to find out if we are going in the correct direction or not in terms of the passive safety. And both the frontal and side performance has been analyzed, and here you can see one example of the simulations carried out. And in fact, today also the first actual crash test has been completed on the main structural parts, and now based on those results, the final refinements are being made on the structure so that the manufacturing can begin. And again, the URBANIZED and the Reflective project share some synergies on this respect. Then, of course, we need something in the vehicle with it moves. So we have been developing the powertrain as well, because the powertrain development was not like the very key central point as is in the project. We have been applying quite a lot of like components off the shelf, but we wanted to pay a little bit more attention on the motor development, because we thought that it's something that we can maybe gain the most in this case. And the reflective motor will be an induction motor, and we chose this route for the reason that we thought that it can be cost effective, and also there was the mention in the I think it was the welcome session yesterday when it was mentioned also that we should maybe decrease a bit the dependency of the rare earth elements in the different mobility solutions. So we wanted to opt for a permanent magnet free solution in this case, or neodymium iron boron permanent magnet free solution. And the continuous power of the motor is limited according to the regulations, and the battery will be based on NMC cells, and it will be air cooled and air heated, and the capacity of the battery is 15 kilowatt hours. And in fact, we had quite of a journey in the project when deciding on the power level, the voltage level of the whole powertrain. And we started to first that, okay, let's go with the low voltage powertrain because it could be quite like natural choice for this kind of small vehicle. But then we actually realized that with the whole configuration that we have for the powertrain, we maybe for the overall system, let's say, simplicity or lowered complexity, we should opt for a higher voltage. But I don't see these parallel developments as such a bad thing actually, because in the end, when you would proceed with these activities after the project, you would for the more high-end solution take the higher voltage solution with all the functionalities, and then for the lower end version of this vehicle, you could go with the lower voltage powertrain. And the thing is that regarding the developments is that this final high voltage system is now being tested like just now in Slovenia, so it's pretty exciting. I hope that everything goes well, and then we will move forward to the integration of it. And now I notice that I need to speed up maybe a little bit. Yeah, so this is my final slide on the results. And the thing for which maybe drove us the most towards the high voltage solution in the final powertrain was the wireless charger that we also will have on board in the vehicle. And we wanted to sort of like explore like, could this kind of like wireless charging solution in addition to the conductive charging enable some use case scenarios that would not be possible without it. And we were thinking that maybe this vehicle could be in some use cases operated in the shared mode using like automated driving functions and then charging as is at the like independently, so to say, at the wireless charger. And this is really something that we are going to test in the vehicle. So we have this add-on automated driving kit that we can have for the certain use cases. And then our partner from Finland, Sensible 4, has already been testing like how the system they have developed, how accurately it's able to park the vehicle on the charger. And the results from the experiments were actually quite good. So with their own test vehicle, because we don't yet have the reflective vehicle ready, they were able to park accurately enough 8 out of 10 times, even without like communication with the charger and the ADS system. So I think it's a quite good result, and we can move forward with these activities. And then as the very final things I would like to mention about the mid and long-term impact. So we are just, as I said, we are just going towards the manufacturing of the vehicle, and then we are actually aiming at quite extensive testing campaign in Finland and in Regensburg. So we are planning to start with the chassis dyno experiments, and in that case we can also control the temperature so that we can do tests at -3 as well, and that's also our plan. And then after that, we are planning to do demonstration in traffic in Helsinki capital area and in Regensburg, Germany, to find out how feasible this vehicle is in different scenarios. And also, at least for the Finnish case, we are trying to attract like local actors, like local companies to be involved, so that we can gather some feedback from them as well. How do they see the usability of the vehicle? And then, of course, a very, very important part of the project in the experimental side is the frontal and side crash tests that will be also executed. And when we think about the outcomes, I would say that, of course, there are those obvious that low usage cost and energy efficient and things like that. And the structural safety is, of course, a very important thing. So if we can achieve it, we can really raise the bar from the present heavy quadricycles on the market. And of course, the increased attractiveness and acceptance and things like that. But I also hope that, of course, that this will bring some business for the companies involved and in larger scale as well, hopefully. And on my final slide, I was also thinking a bit like this kind of that could this kind of, maybe it's too big to say, but hopefully this could inspire thinking the possibilities of the small vehicles. I know that it's like we are packing really many things into the vehicle, and maybe for the many use cases you really don't need the ADS or the wireless charger and things like that. But maybe it could inspire us to think a bit like what can be done with the small vehicles. And I think this is something that is actually maybe a little bit trendy at the moment to go towards that. And now I will really wrap up. So besides what I have been saying, of course, like the emissions and reduced congestion in the cities and improved road safety, but really maybe there will be a new dawn for the small vehicles. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Sorry for the alarm. We are in time, and the next project is URBANIZED, and we have two speakers, two presenters, Salvador Ruiz and Victor Desmond from IADIA.
Thank you. Thank you, Joao. Thank you, Xavi, for your patience with our presentation and all the videos, and thank you also the Commission for getting us the funds to do this project. So URBANIZED project is very, very similar, I would say, to Reflective, to develop a new small vehicle for urban parcel and for urban delivery. We have to mention that we are in the early stages of the prototyping, so not all the values you are expecting will be shown during this presentation and should be later on.
Yeah. Okay, so I will present a bit overall the project. So the project is almost 6.5 million euros. We have 9 partners inside with industrial partners like Vitesco and Nalke, and its industrial association with CLEPA, private services company with IDIADA and vaccine company in Spain, logistic operator with bpost, and public research, CINEA and others, and finally one university with BOB here in Brussels. So the mission is to develop and demonstrate the next generation of modular vehicle architecture for urban sites ECVs CVs at 3 levels, so vehicle system level, vehicle level, and fleet level. So the project is for 3 years. We started in January 2021. So we are at 2/3 of the project now. So we are at the final sprint to the final, with hopefully by end of this year some testing here in Brussels. So on the objective, the first one was to achieve 10% energy efficiency with the new e-powertrain, upscalable new e-powertrain. Then the second one is to provide the digital solution to reduce vehicle energy consumption with a new EMS and 4 eco functions that Salvador will explain later. Then to reduce purchasing costs with the modular design. And also the same, from the same call as Reflective, the 4 stars UN cap to achieve using the heavy quadricycle protocol, so which is a key here in this project. And then the last one is real testing in relevant environments like urban cities and virtual cities. and of course dissemination with webinars. So now Salvador will present the results.
Okay, as mentioned, as the objective, we will have like say 3 objectives. One objective is related to the hardware. The other objective is related to the digitalization. Regarding to the hardware, we have to say we are developing the inverter, we are developing the e-machine, yeah, we are inverter the charger. As you can see, we have already the inverter. As you see, is very small with the pencil in order to have the dimension, and this we have obtained an efficiency of 98%. This has been already tested. This is using the switching high frequency technology with gallium nitride. The onboard charger also we have increased the efficiency in 5%, and we have also an external power unit at 48 volts for the machinery on these vehicles that we have achieved 10% increase. Regarding the e-motor, is already been manufactured, so we don't have the physical performances, we have the theoretical performance, and the e-motor itself will be scalable for 48 volts application that is needed for our demonstrator up to 350 vehicles for the future. Now talking about the digitalization is the other objective, to reduce the 10%. So we have designed different algorithms to control the vehicle energy flow at multiple levels. So some of them will be on the cloud, some of them will be on the vehicle. These 4 functions, they are the eco-routing to optimize what will be, the best delivery for every day. That will be based on the cloud. The eco charging for the charging infrastructure. Then the eco driving and the eco comfort that will be implemented on the vehicle under also the control of the driver or the worker. This is the approach that we have. So the expected results that we may have during the demonstration is a 10% of energy increase above what is going to be done by the hardware itself, and at vehicle level we think between 3 and 5. This is quite optimistic. So how this is implemented? So these eco functions, this is a synergy project with TNO, THER, ALKE, and BUV all working together. Some of them will be implementing on the VCU of the vehicle with TNO and BUV, both for the eco driving and eco comfort function. Meanwhile, the other ones will be at cloud level. So the other part of the project is the modularity. So within this project, we have design and plug and play, or somehow plug and play cargo modules in such a way that one vehicle will be able to do 2 kind of activities. Well, we would say to service refrigerated food in the morning, or to service parcel during the midday. So, or according to the level of quantity of parcel they have to deliver, to change easily. And among us as well, we have developed a small trolley in order to have the efficiency of the parcel distribution by hand to this activity. And no more important, we are working on the standards and standardization. So we will send some recommendation as part of on the project conclusions on the vehicle general safety. We have been talking about regulation from the scooter, regulation also for your vehicle, and I think it is worth it to mention that vehicles must be safe, must be efficient, but the old categories that we mentioned, like 1973, M1 and 2, and then when it came with L7, maybe needs to be reviewed and to record, vehicle only for what I would say for urban city. The objective of this, it was to say one vehicle, two bodies, but only one homologation. And now this is the internal fight that we are, as a very close friend with Reflective, who will rate more stars in Euro NCAP. So our concept as a modular cargo with heavy loads and with a ladder frame coming into the rear. So we have developed a crash body that also a crash box, not a crash body, a crash box that will be able to withstand the energy needed to recover from the crash in such a way that also it will be swappable or with modularization, to make lower the cost of industrialization. At this stage, we are now working on the restream. We are doing the virtual simulation. So the virtual simulations, they are quite promising. So we're happy with this. And then maybe next year we talk who has better. Okay. So project cooperation, we have been delighted to work with Reflective in not only what I say as mentioned on the passive safety, that even though we have two different teams, they are fighting who makes them the better solution. We have been talking about the shared ergonomics and also the control logic to make more efficient, the air conditioning on this vehicle. On the other side, we have also been cooperated with the Storm in providing the data of our vehicle and how our vehicle will be introduced easily or not easily, or to tell us which will be the most effective city that our vehicle will be able to run. And we are open to more collaborations if anyone to come. So mid and long-term impact. So as a project innovation, we have a new e-powertrain that will be scalable. It means, for this kind of vehicle or a smaller vehicle, even though mid-size vehicle, I'm talking mid-size just below M1, not to track. The new functionality that will be on the cloud, this will be easy to share. The enhanced crash structure that will make this vehicle look and appear and be safer, and the modularity cargo body this is what it is very important to make it safer. So the impact we can see is, of course, increase energy and efficiency, so decrease delivery cost, increase the safety, performance and usage, and also with the modularity, what we are thinking is to reduce the number of vehicles in the fleet. So for the big operators to reduce the overall acquisition cost. So regarding to the long term, so this new vehicles or the accessibility of this new vehicle into the market will lead also to the society to create more or bigger zero emission areas, and also to increase the safety standards, but to balancing what is, we'll say, the cost and what will be say the other ones. And thank you for my time. Did I speed up too much?
Good.
Very good.
So now we are going to our last presentation, DREAM, and the presenter is Eva Bu from 3 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the introduction, and good afternoon, everybody. Well, my name is Eva Bu. I'm a co-founder of 3 o'clock. It's a total innovation agency based in Paris. Before starting talking about the DREAM project, I wanted to well, tell you something about what I did today. I got up at, I live in Paris. I got up at 6 and I took my folding bike. I put it in the metro in Paris. I get to the station, I put it in the Thalys train to come to Brussels, and with a folding bike, I came here to the conference. And why I'm telling you this is because one of the focus of DREAM has been the drivers, to understand the drivers of mobility behavior. And for example, what I did today, I would never have done this 10 years ago, but now I'm a lot more aware of my impact on transport. So whenever I can, I come here with my folding bike in the train. It's a little more heavy, but it's better than taking taxis all over the city. So coming back to DREAM, one of the aspects, one of the most important aspects around DREAM was to understand this mobility behavior and understanding the drivers of the choice of mobility options and modes of transport. So also before starting, another thing, it's also in line with Paolo. The project started in February 2021. So with the big pandemic coming up, so you can imagine that a project which is much focused on understanding mobility behavior and testing new vehicles, the problems that we had with COVID and well, all the lockdowns and everything. So I'll go and present DREAM. So the aim of the project was to finalize and taste a safer and modular E-kickscooter for personal mobility. So a little similar to what Paolo presented, and we built it around getting a lot of feedback with 3 different pilot cases. And what we decided to structure, or how we decided to structure the project, was around 3 different business models. So one with the city of Torino, one with the University of Gothenburg, and one with Tractable, and try different possibilities of managing fleets and what the incentives could be with the different actors to adopt the E-kickscooter in their facilities. So innovation came from 2 aspects in the project, one from the vehicle and on the other side for the business model adoption on the pilots. So as you can see, the 2 first pictures are regarding the inflatable helmet. So we had a Bumper, a French company that develops an inflatable helmet, and well, one of the most inconvenient things of having a helmet is that you have to carry it away once you leave the vehicle. So the idea was to integrate the helmet with the vehicle. Second main innovation was the E-kickscooter with 3 wheels, folding and carry-on possibility, and in-wheel motor in the forward wheel. The Bumper was the company developing the helmet. The in-wheel motor was Elafe and Dommel, 2 technical companies. Punch Torino created a startup called Totem to commercialize the E-kickscooter developed in the project. And for the test, we have the University of Gothenburg, 5T as representative of the city of Torino, which is a public transport operator, and Tractable engineering company based in Brussels, not very far from here, and 3 o'clock. These are the partners of the project, and the main thing, one of the most important aspects was this testing process. So we have around 100 users testing the E-kickscooters. Each tester used the E-kickscooter and helmet for the regular journeys during a total of 7 days. And they filled a logbook every day, so a daily journal, explaining the experience. And we have also focus groups with the different pilots to get feedback on the design, on the performance, and on their link and match to their mobility needs. The results, I decided to present it because the project finished. The project finished last month, so it was just for 2 years. I decided to present it as the objectives versus the results. So I will present some of the results that we get from the feedback with users. So first, one of the first objectives of the project was to improve safety compared to existing micromobility vehicles. So surveys that we did with the population that we have in the pilots. So we had that more than 50% of the population declared not to use the E-scooter because of safety reasons. So the safety features that we proposed were the inflatable helmet, that it's 3 times more safe than regular helmets, and the E-scooter that integrates a rear camera, as you can see in the picture, and light leader alert system. When a vehicle comes behind, you get an alarm if you use a smartphone with the E-scooter. So feedback from pilots. These were the safety features within the project, and feedback from pilots once we have used it and tested is that the wheels, the design of the wheels absorb the shocks. The large deck, which you can see in here a little bit, in here, it's comfortable and it allows you to drive in a standing position, looking to the front. Some problems with the braking system only acting on the front wheel were identified, and it allowed us to work on this since the very beginning of the test to integrate and do some loops with these braking systems and review. Second objective was to offer a light and easy to fold E-scooter. We were better at the easy to fold than the light aspect. I will tell you later on. The feedback was the fold and unfolding system was appreciated for its easy to use. The possibility to carry the E-scooter as a trolley was really appreciated. But one of the most criticized aspects in some of the pilots, not all, was this heavy aspect. The final weight was 16 kilos. And the choice of these was one regarding for sure user experience. So benchmarks showed that E-scooter with similar performances was similar in weight. And another a fact that we identified is that user research revealed that a real pain was portability, and 94% of users prefer not to pay more for less weight. So another aspect in the design that intervened and was key was the price and the supply chain of the products. Third objective was to offer a flexible range adapted to user needs. So we have a swappable battery and 2 versions with different batteries that allow you to have different ranges. And the feedback from pilots was that autonomy was rated as low, and it was linked, of course, during the prototype. So this also was an important aspect that Totem, the spin-off of the Punch Torino, a large company, is working on it. We developed a whole user experience around the DREEM service. This was another objective of the project. So the tests took a large effort in the project, but this allowed us to bring in a lot of interesting information from workers and from citizens and commuters. We work a lot on the recruitment of these testers, and one of the key things was to ensure that they had a nice user experience and to get a good feedback from the logbook for each stage, because in the end, a user had to fill 8 surveys all along the week, so it was a lot of work also for them. Yep, an innovative business model to offer a mobility solution adapted to different users. So we did also a lot of user research, so more than 400 survey responses. This allows us to have a better understanding of mobility behaviors, the needs and the risk. And with this, we built 6 mobility profiles that we presented at TRA last year. And we have used these mobility profiles to understand and to find correlations with the different choices of mobility with the different profiles, which has allowed us also to better understand mobility choices. 3 business models were co-designed with the pilots. We worked together with the university and university students, with the company and employees, and with the city and the public transport company to build the business model environment and what the role of the university, who's paying what and who's getting value from what, who are the service providers. and how it will work together in the end. And finally, for sure, awareness and dissemination on micromobility. We did an innovation camp at TRA. We support 6 follower cities to co-design actions and mobility in micromobility. We had our final event at TRA, and we have produced 2 scientific papers. Almost finished. Increase the sustainability of the vehicle and the business model. This was another important aspect of the project, so the circularity. And we had a work package completely dedicated to this, to the LCA, and how to integrate information that has fed the business model choice and some of the technical design of the final prototype of DREAM. So circularity and sustainability was on the business model design and on the vehicle design, but also sustainability of the business models and the DREAM approach that we did. And so we have used it to build some work and some initial steps on micromobility plans with these 6 cities with the help of E-kickscooters, but I forgot they are also partners of the project. Final slide is mid to long-term impact. So what we have done or we have generated is bring new knowledge on mobility behavior, on user needs, regarding e-micromobility, because we focused on users of e-scooter, but also on non-users to understand the reasons why they do not use it for sure. Also regarding risk behavior and to better understand these mobility habits. We develop new products and services designed and built in the EU. We have to say that during the project, the spin-off from the company has been created, generating new jobs and producing the e-scooter completely in Europe. And secondly, Bumper, the French company, also a startup, they have pivoted and with the project designing another business model, and they are working now with Decathlon to commercialize the helmet. And also generate new research and EU jobs. And this is it.
Okay, thank you very much, Eva. So our 4 projects have presented. So we are going to move to our questions and answers part. So I'll pass the word to my co-moderator, Marco Pieve from Piaggio. Thank you very much.
So thank you again to all the speakers. Before saying something from my side, because I have some questions also for you, I will leave the floor to the audience for specific question to the for a single project, or if it is a question for all the speakers, please. Let's try to keep the question short and simple as much as possible, so I can understand.
Thank you. Question from Magna. Question to URBANIZED project. What was the motivation behind using gallium nitride power electronics and switching frequency up to 50 kip when you're driving last mile? Thank you.
Well, I am a mechanical engineer. I don't have the answer for this question. But Omar should be here during these days. I think he can answer you, but I don't know what it was the reason for this. Sorry for the first one.
Of course, I suggest to keep in contact with the right person for the, if you are interested, okay. Other question? Please, Guido.
Sorry, I had to candy. I hope it works in any case. Just a general question to all of you. You know that affordability was one of the points to be touched by this project. And unfortunately, I haven't seen much in the presentation. Can you tell me something about the affordability of the solution that you proposed? Thank you.
You mean for specific users or not? Because if I can add, that there is in the code there was a mention to elderly and disabled people, even to take into consideration elderly and disabled.
Yes.
Yes, this is a part of the affordability. Yeah.
That's part of the affordability, but on costs in particular, because there was a specific sentence that was saying, okay, please show what is the affordability, because if I do remember well, we're talking about acceptable acquisition costs. Can you tell me something on the project that you developed on that? Thank you.
May I first ask, am I still live? Is this recorded or not? No. Just kidding, but this is seriously a very important question, and I think I remember exactly what the call text said, price on par with the present solutions or something like that. Price on par. I might remember wrong, but I can check it after this. But really, yeah. I think like maybe this is quite an obvious answer, but it's quite difficult to prove that in this project with the first prototype and things like that. But we have tried, if we a little bit forget the 2 charging solutions and the ADS on top of that and things like that, I think we could bring the market with the simplest version of our vehicle, something that could be acceptable by the customers, I hope. But this is really something that we cannot show with one functional prototype without any optimization of the manufacturing, trying to find the components all over the Europe from the different like solution providers, like nearly impossible. But in all the actions, we of course bear this in mind and try to do it, because this kind of vehicle that we are developing, it cannot boom, or it cannot have any success without a reasonable price. But I'm sure that you are not maybe super happy with this answer, but I will maybe give my colleagues a turn to try on this.
Thank you, Jenny. So from the urbanized point of view, regarding to the cost of acquisition, even though one of the main part is the reduction of the energy in a duty service every day. So what we have considered is the modularity of the cargo. That is just you only invest in one, I would say, underbody, chassis and cabin and powertrain, and you have 2 different vehicles completely. But of course they cannot use at the same times. And then regarding when we started the project, I hope there is nobody from the previous session today. We have not been using high-strength steel materials. We are not using aluminium. We are using something like, for the industry, is ready to make and afford at a reasonable cost. So they will be part of the project outcomes, to show the cost of the vehicle. But we have been thinking how to reduce and how to make the vehicle into the market. But at the end, in our case, for big companies, delivery companies, so what is important is the price of the vehicle in everyday use. So it's not only the acquisition cost that is important, but also the energy and the reliability of the vehicle. I hope this time is answered.
From my side, we had 2 innovations, or 2 main products, the helmet and the E-kickscooter. The helmet, at the beginning, starting the project, it had a price of at least 200, if I remember well. The work within the project and the arrangements that the company has done with Decathlon has decreased a lot the price, so they have worked a lot on this affordability, and now will be in the range of 40 to 80. This was the first thing, because the main feedback from users in the end, it's important, and one of them was related the willingness to pay. So they decided to increase the sales on the market, reducing the price to make it more affordable, first. And second, regarding the E-kickscooter, we do have this modularity, so the Totem commercializes with 2 different batteries and ranges, and these has 2 different prices. Willingness to pay, again, in the pilots, was very different from students, for example, in a university, than from workers in Brussels. And Totem is currently a bit high compared to the willingness to pay of users. but they are working, so we send the feedback and they are working on it. But let's say the willingness to pay was between 500 and 700 for the e-kick-scooter for personal mobility.
Well, it is a big issue. Well, according to us, I mean, it is a kind, yeah, definitely. Even, I mean, it is very difficult to understand what it doesn't mean, I mean, acceptable, because this is another issue as well. By the way, what we see on our project, it is that it is a kind of step-by-step process. That means slowly, let's say, task by task, we realize something is not acceptable in terms of prices. For instance, I mean, the motor, I mean, there are different kind of problems. One of the problems is that when we work in kind of a, let's say, a task or a project in terms of prototype, for instance, buying, I mean, 100 motors, I mean, the company, they don't want even to sell you. So this is a big issue. Buying, I mean, 1,000, the cost is going, well, they accept to sell you, but the cost is very high. Then, of course, so buying, I mean, 1 million, it becomes different. Then, and this is for all the pieces. So this is one of the problems. The other problem that we realize it is how long it takes and how much it costs, I mean, to build, I mean, this. For instance, I mean, step by step, we realize that building, I mean, this scooter, I mean, in aluminum, it takes about a couple of days just only for one. So it means a lot of labor cost. And then in that case, even for some other reason, we shift, I mean, to the composite. In that case, you can build, I mean, without labor cost. In one day, you can build, I mean, 5 of them. Then there are different aspects, but of course, we have to take into account all these aspects. I hope, I mean, I can be able to give some hints.
Just a small follow-up question, not a question, just a small remark. At the end also, I remember, I thank you again for your answer and your honest answer. I remind you again, the project on the top, it was supposed to have business plan and exploitation strategy were developed since the beginning. So this is why I'm asking, because of course affordable depends on the business model, on the business case you're developing, but we want to see it at the end of the project. Just a reminder, thank you.
I completely agree, definitely. But it is, just to add something very quick, it is something we discover, and this is why, that was one of the reasons for which, I mean, I spent some minutes, I mean, at the beginning of the presentation. It means, I mean, during this period, we completely entered, I mean, a new era in terms of, I mean, the COVID, the supply chain failing, and let's say the war, they completely changed our let's say, environment, ecosystem, and let's say the playing field. I mean, for instance, for us, it was quite easy to buy in China, and we completely, I mean, let's say, subcontract everything, I mean, to buy, to produce in China. But actually, I mean, definitely it's completely inconvenient and so on. But we discovered during this time. And then developing, I mean, a business model before and after, I mean, these 2 points is very difficult. But of course, I completely agree with you. We have to do it before.
So if I may make a comment about the question of affordability related to the urbanized project. So the vehicle developed there, the emphasis was absolutely on affordability. In particular, they have developed, or they use a steel frame and basically a steel chassis, and they use standard automotive components wherever possible. The advantage of this is that it's easy to manufacture, it's easy to assemble, it's cost effective, recyclable, it's a bit heavy, and that relates back to the Flamingo project that also was talking in the previous session about making an aluminium chassis. and frame for the same vehicle. But of course, the advantage of the steel frame is also that you have a tremendously high payload. It's 2.5 tons on a very small electric vehicle. So it makes it very, very flexible as well for different applications.
The lady's there, and then the guy here. Sorry.
Good afternoon. I'm Paola Chiarini, I'm from DG Move. The question for Leonardo and DREEM. Actually, two questions, if I may. The first one is, if I understand correctly, you have been studying mobility behaviors and trends. And I was wondering whether you have found any evidence or any information of people switching from cars to e-scooters, or who are the people using e-scooters? So where did your clients come from? This is the first question. The second is on the vehicle. You both mentioned that the vehicles are modular and a number of other activities to make it more sustainable. Very recently, I learned that, I hope it's true the information, I was told that the e-scooters in Brussels have a life of 4 or 5 months due to the very rough use. So that seems very hardly sustainable. I'm wondering, what is your analysis on the sustainability of these e-scooters? And whether you have considered also recycling issues, because to my understanding, composites are not really recyclable, not with the current technologies. So, sorry, a bit of questions, but really two. Thanks.
Two complicated questions. First is user behavior, and if we have identified persons moving from the car to personal e-kick scooter, I would say yes, we identified some of them. Some of the profiles that we identified are these type of profiles. I would say the two cases with the majority of these profiles were in Brussels and in Italy. Why? Because we have majority of male employees in the in between like 25 and 45 or something like this, and this is the main target of the e-kick scooter. So first, this thing, the drivers to move from the car to e-kick scooter exist. Yes, you have to have a specific mobility conditions to be able to change and live closer to the city or to the place of work. But yes, we have identified some drivers that allow people to move from one profile to the other. And the second question was related to sustainability. Yes, yes. The main problem of sustainability of e-scooter is regarding shared fleets in cities. So the majority of cities are reconsidering this shared service. For example, in Paris, the city of Paris is reconsidering this shared system, and a lot of cities are moving now from I don't remember the name, but when you have no lockers, and when now you have lockers and docks to leave the e-scooter, to have it more in a conscious way and more ethically with the environment and with the urban space. But this is a lot more related to shared mobility than to the business models that we deal with within the project that are more for personal mobility. And the fleets that we consider weren't considering large cities, but small companies with small quantities of e-scooters, which does not explain really the problem of sustainability of the e-scooters within cities, but this is what we had in DREEM.
Well, tricky or tough question, let's say. The first one regarding clients, well, let's say our item, our product is more for young people, definitely. And then it is very flexible, very agile, and it is really smart and really nice to drive and so on. But I mean, you need to know how to drive it, at least at the beginning. It is a different way to drive. I mean, this kind of the e-kick-scooter and so on. So the client should be more or less, I mean, young people and let's say those who would like to try exciting, let's say, driving way and so on. But at least for the let's say the beginning. Then it might be, and this is our, let's say, wish and let's say idea. It is that this kind of vehicles is starting to become the standard, because this way of this kind of vehicles it should be safer and easy to drive. So, but at the moment, I mean, this kind of let's say accelerating and decelerating, I mean, through the steer and so on, it is not available, and at the beginning it's not easy, because but probably it is let's say it is better, I mean, and then we have to see what is going to happen, I mean, in the next future regarding, I mean, whether this becomes a standard or not. Regarding sustainability, and as far as I understood, you are talking about vandalism, or kind of, I mean, the sustain.
Lifespan of e-kick-scooters in cities is now less than, even in some cities is days, not even months.
But regarding what? Why? So you talk about vandalism, kind of vandalism. I mean, yeah. I mean, one scooter cannot last for one day. I mean.
Is a bit more of a general question. I understand shared fleet may have been used very, very roughly.
Yeah.
But, what is your, because you also mentioned that there are a number of actions you have taken in the project to make certain that this vehicle is more sustainable of what is already existing. So I was wondering if you can elaborate on this, and how do you mean sustainable in terms of life cycle? You mentioned also changes in the batteries.
Yes.
So in case we have an explosion of this, let's say, the use of these
hopefully
scooters.
Yeah, we trust it. No, by the way, there are two different, let's say, two different aspects. One, it is about, let's say, the wrong way, I mean, to use this kind of vehicles. The second one is vandalism. The third one, it is those problems, I mean, in the cities, I mean, parking, I mean, or living, I mean, this kind of stuff and so on. And this, I mean, it is something that we are discussing with our partner. It is a company which is managing fleets by different companies, I mean, sharing companies in Palermo and some other cities. So we are looking at this problem because it is a big issue, definitely. Sometimes, I mean, we can order have a meeting because they have to find, I mean, a scooter, I mean, in the sea or wherever. So it is crazy. So this is something that should take into account. Regarding, I mean, the sustainability, and we should take into account three different aspects. One, it is about, I mean, let's say the core part of the scooter. That means the platform or whatever you call it. I mean, in that case, we choose, I mean, we choose the composite part. Let's say. Way, because this company we took on board is specialized, I mean, to produce goods and services for aviation and space, and they are highly, I mean, let's say, specialized as well on sustainability in these areas, so aviation and space. So we believe, I mean, they are working in this way, and we can get, I mean, let's say, materials, and we can use materials, and we can have a good product in terms of sustainability, because we are in heritage, I mean, by those sectors. But of course, as he said before, I'm a project manager. I'm not an engineer, so I cannot tell you more than this. But of course, I can put in contact, I mean, this company which is based in Frosinone, and they are specialized on this kind of stuff. And this approach is going to, this kind of product is going to, let's say, to increase the lifetime of the product. as well. On the other hand, the other problem, which is related even to the first aspect, that means the sustainability and the duration of and the vandalism and so on, it is that the idea, our idea is the people, they are going to buy, the product, the item, the scooter. And that way we can give them the service of swapping, the battery. In this way, they can swap the battery, and the e-scooter still remain, on their hand, and they can still use it. So the swapping, service that can, let's say, give the opportunity to them to use, the product for longer, compared to the previous one. On the other hand, of course, it still remains the problem in the case of the sharing services and so on. I hope I tried to reply to your question.
Paulo, one question. Your business model is for personal use, swapping batteries, is not for sharing fleets in the city?
No, we are trying both.
Okay.
That means, on the other hand, we have another project by University of Florence, which is already ended, and we developed let's say a rack of batteries, for batteries with the PV and so on. In that case, actually we are going to, during the pilot, we are going to test both sides. That means one, some, let's say, racks in the cities in which the people, they can change the battery and so on. On the other hand, they can swap the batteries. So in the first case, of course, it can be sharing, and the second case, of course, they can buy it. And then we will see what is going to happen, and whether the business model, they can work both, or one better than the other, or one it doesn't work, and so on. Okay. I will let you know.
Thank you.
Hello, hi, can you hear me? Yes. I'm Karim Hassan from Axio, the Catalan agency for businesses. Thank you for the presentations and the projects. For the EKS, I have a few questions, maybe follow-up questions to the previous ones. So one that comes naturally is kind of like the models. It sounds like for Leonardo, the model suggested that your testing is battery as a service coupled with buying the product, and have you considered also just transportation as a service? The second one is user behavior. It seems pretty intuitive. I see here in Brussels all the time that it seems to me that those who are just using the service and don't actually own the e-scooters tend to bend the most the behavior. So you see two people on a scooter, or you see them left on the side of the street and so on. So to address security, so the helmet and so on, would it not make more sense to have the helmet on the scooter rather than have it by, because it's more likely that somebody who goes to Decathlon to buy something is an owner of a scooter as well, so they will be educated and they will be more careful about the risks or the safety. And the last one is, what is the outlook for parking? Because I think this was mentioned, and maybe you already answered with the previous question, but it seems like there is very little focus on the circularity surrounding the e-scooters themselves, and maybe the sustainability issue that the life cycle analysis shows how little visibility there is on the providers, what they do with the scooters. You know, what is really the life cycle of the scooter? Because 4 or 5 months seems unsustainable as a model. So how can they be making profit, right? Maybe there are practices that we are unaware of. And so it's just maybe a bit more on these different things and just in general the models. And sorry for the confused questions.
First question is not for me. Second question was related to the inflatable helmet and to insert it in the e-kickscooter. That was one thing that was considered during the project, but the thing is that you have to, you can deflate it, but to inflate it, you need the pump. So you need the pump plus the helmet to insert it in the e-kickscooter that is already heavy. And you do not have a lot of space, so it was considered not possible, and what we tested with the user wasn't a good choice. But the initial idea was to put it within the e-kickscooter, but most focus, what I see the most useful would be with shared mobility and shared e-scooters in the city. But it's not the case for DREAM. And your third question was related to sustainability and circularity and the use of...
The parking, the profitability, kind of like what are the current service providers doing that justifies this 4 to 5 months because there's no parking space?
Okay. From my understanding and what I read, because I do not work for them, is that they are not profitable for the moment. They are receiving a lot of money from funding rounds and financing rounds, but they are not profitable. Personally, my personal opinion, I don't. If you have to create a business model that to make it affordable, you have to distribute the e-scooters through the city. They last for a maximum of 5 months, and you have to subcontract a service to charge the e-scooter. Well, for me, it's the least thing of sustainability that you can add to a city. So I understand a lot of cities that are reconsidering this. Adding docks and parkings to charge the e-scooters, for me, could be a good solution that solves the problem of urban space. The charging, subcontracting thing, that it's not very good for the moment. And it would make problems with the profitability for sure, but I would say that maybe PPP systems, as with the bike systems, for example, in France, could be more adapted to this type of service than just private companies providing the service.
Well, we are a bit in delay regarding, the project. So actually we are preparing, the pilot, and we have this company in Palermo which is specialized on, on providing this kind of services. So the idea is to try to understand all these kind of aspects and test them. And this company is very specialized because this company works with the main, let's say, sharing companies. So it is this is a very interesting aspect of working with this company. For this reason, we got them on board, and then we are going to take into account the let's say what you mentioned before, and if you want, we can keep in touch and we can get some recommendation, because it is this is an issue that these are issues that we have to take into account. On the other hand, regarding the other aspect, we have here we talk about different constraints. That means on one hand, the vehicle should be very sustainable, acceptable in terms of price, but even in terms of maintenance, in terms of its durability. On the other hand, it should be very, very light, because of course it should not be heavy, because otherwise it's not comfortable and so on. And on the other hand, it should be, always available, because I would like to get, the vehicle whenever and wherever I am. So it's not easy. It's not easy, to find the right compromise or within these aspects. What we are trying to do is to study with the different parts, involved in this area. That means the companies, the sharing companies, those, for instance, the maintenance, the recharging area is very expensive for that, definitely. For instance, putting, some ranks, in the city, this means that the companies, they don't need, the sharing companies, they don't need, to recharge the e-scooter. So this is a very important task. By the way, they have a very, very high cost in terms of managing, the fleet. So we have to try to find different solutions in order to decrease the costs, and then it becomes affordable, the whole business model and so on. But I think this is a kind of personal idea. It is that we need a different kind of test and different kind of idea and solution, working together with different kind of partners, even including, the municipalities.
Another question there. And another on your left.
Thank you very much. Fatih from Tofaş. I will read it, sorry. I believe in disruptive innovation, so which means I believe that outside there are many customers who are willing to pay a low-end price for a not good enough product or technology. So we shouldn't consider at this point a lot the performance, even sustainability performance point of view, when doing research, I mean. But someday these products and technologies should come to a good enough performance level, which means competition with vehicle OEMs like us. So what do you think about this challenge? And is it possible to collaborate from today with OEMs, I mean vehicle OEMs, before facing that challenge, especially for Jenny and for the Salvatore? Thank you.
I was just thinking that could you be first, because I want to think a bit, or in, because it's, okay, thanks.
Thank you, Jenny. So, when we are talking about commercial vehicles, it is also very important to take the cost of the vehicle and the, the technology and the quality. You know, the most advanced components, they are not coming, what I would say, in this kind of vehicles. They may come in other industries that you can pay more for in other uses, that you can pay more for the vehicle itself, or with a very large fleet. I am talking about, you know, these heavy-duty trucks that they are transferred from Finland to Spain, that you have to reduce completely everything, and they are very, very expensive. Within our project, we have a scalability of the electric motor and the inverter from 48 volts to 350 volts in order such a way to keep the technology at a reasonable price for the, we say, for the 48 volts. That will be the demonstrator we are going to use as a reference. Meanwhile, within the project, there is the other one. Of course, you know, the research and innovation should come at all levels, but it's important to focus what the Commission asked for the project, and also we are wanted to have. And we wanted to have a product that it can be used before 2030 in real environments, but real companies where the buyer will never drive the vehicle, and is going to be really focused on the profitability of the project at acquisition and the service. So, of course, innovation is expensive. Everything new is more expensive, but then at the time and the competence, they can make it cheaper. And in our project, we are thinking for both with this scalability from 48 volts to 350 volts. And I am not an OEM manufacturer, so this is the point of view, you say, coming from other OEMs, not only the OEMs and the suppliers, the tier one already in our project.
Yeah, this is like a super interesting question, and I'm not still quite sure what to answer, because we have the same idea of providing this modularity and scalability from the vehicle class that we are now considering to upwards. But of course, it's like for us and also I have to say that we have like providers like in the consortium who will probably then sell the products developed in the project to their customers. But may I ask if you can still elaborate a bit on your question, so that I can sort of properly point on the.
Yeah, what I mean, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what I mean, you are working on micro vehicles, no?
Yeah, indeed. Mm-hmm.
So that means that, and I agree, and I don't have any concern about the performance of micro vehicles as of today, as I explained.
Yeah.
But one day it should arrive, I mean, the performance should arrive in a level to compete with the existing vehicle OEMs, like us, for example. We are producing Fiat brand vehicles. So you will be competing with us. So before that challenge, my question is, would you like to collaborate with OEMs, or do you have any other strategy in mind?
like, oh my goodness, like absolutely, dream come true. so definitely, like, of course, if that's the thing you are asking, it got
was not clear.
Yeah. Maybe like with further cooperation, depending of course of the partners' interests in the project, because we are in the process of like defining what could be the next steps and what the different partners would like to do. Would they like to try to commercialize the IPR, for instance, to sell it someone else to make a product of it, or that could be one route to cooperate. And then of course one route could be that maybe yet another EU project to develop this concept a bit further and transfer the knowledge developed in the project like further to different parties. And what else it could be? Now these are maybe the first two things that come to my mind at the moment. Thanks a lot for the question.
Hi, I work for Trips, a French manufacturer of e-cargo bikes. So that would be a question for URBANIZed, because I think we're kind of colleagues because we work in the last mile. So if I understood well, you guys would be some kind of intermediate between e-cargo bike and e-van in terms of volume and payload. So my question would be kind of pragmatical. So how much payload could you put, how much volume, and what percentage of energy difference would it be compared to an e-van, for instance, with your project, if you know already?
So the easy question, yes, will be something between a van and would say and a cargo bike. This is the first one. We are talking in different configurations. So we think the minimum payload we are looking is 1 ton. But I have to remember that is something on the limit. But also, as we have two modularities, we have to find out what is the volume itself. I don't have in mind. But as you can see in the picture, it is the volume is not the biggest part of our vehicle, because we have a ladder chassis with the batteries inside of the ladder chassis, so everything is above that, and you have to reach, especially me that I'm not very tall, easily. So I don't know the dimension of the volume, but it will not be the same volume as a completely van due to the height of the ladder frame. The energy consumption, we have not the results yet of the vehicle. We are going to start it June with the reference vehicle, and then maybe, for the next presentation we will have. Yeah.
And just, would your prototype would be for roads or cycling tracks, for instance? Would you do 2 prototypes, one for each use, for instance?
Okay. Yeah. Well, we will do on roads, that for sure. We have bpost inside the project as logistical, and we will use their use case to do it and to do the same use case. But also, I think we can do both at the end. So because the vehicle is quite small, so smaller than the e-van, so you can go in cycle bike. So it's also easier in the very city centers to park and so on for delivery, for example, with bpost. So I think it will be for sure for both. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody, or good morning. My name is Volker Strubbel. I'm running R&D projects in the automotive sector. Thank you for all your really interesting mobility concepts. I want to remind you that we have new concepts, but we see as well in the last 12 months, I think, that all startups or new companies in Europe like sono cars, light ears, as well as street scooter, which have new mobility concepts. All of these got really in trouble, business-wise in trouble. So I think we have all to think about how to bring your concepts on the road. So to have cooperation with automotive or with companies which are able really to industrialize things, that we are able to have hundreds of millions of these new vehicles on the street. Otherwise, we will have these in 5 years from CINEA. Another question would be to the Commission: do we need other funding schemes, CapEx funding, for investment, for industrialization? Because we need now the next step. We have a lot of concepts, but we need to have to industrialize them. And perhaps you have new ideas how to do it.
Well, I think the question is for the Commission rather than for us.
Yes, if someone from the Commission could answer in principle. I know the answer, but it's better that the Commission will answer.
Well, the Commission unfortunately doesn't print money yet, but
yes, I
that's
know.
a very easy question. No, well, you know that there are a number of funding programs for a lot of different activities beyond research, you know, for different kind of implementation. There is now a plan that also for, let me remember what is called exactly Net Zero Industry Plan. So there are activities, possibly funding, that are coming. There are grants and loans from the European Investment Bank. So there are a lot of opportunities there, I have to say. I'm not really sure that is up to a public body like the Commission to industrialize and to make a commercial case for commercial products. So to support up to a certain point, yes, but then it has to become a commercial endeavor.
I agree. It is not the role of the Commission. If I can make a comment, this call was quite unusual because at least for micro vehicles asked for TRL 8 and 9, and there were no OEMs that applied for that. I know why, but it's another story. So this is a reflection that the colleague raised, Rosa. I agree. It is not the role of the Commission to put money for that.
If I may just compliment, to the gentleman that posed the question, there are indeed, like the colleague from the Commission mentioned, other funding programs, and I would invite you to downstairs, go to the EC stand, where the colleagues of CINEA can show you and can guide you in the right direction for these other funding opportunities for more advanced TRLs. So thank you.
Marco, you are a micromobility, a small vehicle manufacturer. You know how hard it is to sell this vehicle, especially to companies or big companies that they buy hundreds or 200s or 1,000 per year. It's also that you have to compete with price, durability, and the business case you are going to offer. So it is not an easy question.
I completely agree.
Well, I think it is quite general question, because it is a question, or more or less quite similar question that I raised yesterday. No, it means, I mean, compared to US and China, I mean, there is a problem in Europe about a private investor. We are too, let's say, in Europe, let's say, I mean, the investors are, let's say, private investors are more, let's say, reluctant, I mean, to invest in something which is not so business promising or something like this. But this is not, once again, it is not a matter of the Commission. It's a matter, I mean, of the ecosystem and even, I mean, of the kind of mindset and mentality. And then it is very difficult to develop a kind of ecosystem in which there is a very high risk. I mean, people or investors or whatever, they would like to industrialize or they would like to put some money. I mean, we can see it. I mean, in U.S. While in China, it is the situation is different. It is the public, I mean, body that is using, I mean, to waste, I mean, tons of money and then sometimes get some good, let's say, result. But it is completely different. By the way, it's quite interesting to understand Piaggio what think about it. Well, because at the end, I mean, it should be a kind of private investor.
I'm here as a moderator, not as Piaggio one. Because I'm recorded. So. If there are no other, yeah,
oh.
other.
Hi, so Jacob Foyle from Strategy Engineers. Well, firstly, thank you very much, everyone. It was great to listen to the presentations. So question Eva, yeah. I may have misunderstood, but there was a LCA modeling aspect involved. Could you just give a brief overview of what that entailed and what you compared to various objectives, if you're able to do so? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I did not carry out this study myself. The only thing I could tell you is that we analyze a lot of different variables, and I would put you in contact with the person that did it, but we use the results to define the final business model and some of the aspects of the design. But I cannot tell you the different variables. The only thing I know is that we did it with OpenLCA, the software.
There was a question from Maurizio Maggiore. Or an answer.
Thank you. My name is Jörg Beckmann. I'm from Switzerland, where we operate 400 shared cargo bikes in more than 100 Swiss cities. And as such, we're part of SHACOMO, which is the Swiss Alliance for Collaborative or Shared Mobility. And this brings me to my question. I was intrigued by the question from the lady of the Commission asking for the sustainability impacts of the scooters that you're looking at. Are you telling me that there is no EU research projects on precisely that question? Because that would be certainly a valid question, and I would be very happy to see something coming out of this sort of project, because we only have data with regards to micro-mobility or shared and private micro-mobility vehicles from the ITF from 2018 or 19, which is outdated. This was looking at generation 1 scooters. We're now generation 3 scooters. So let me put the question back to the Commission. Is there a research project that answers your question?
So you have to post 2 answers, Maurizio.
No, on this one, I think the answer is probably not. Because the micromobility is, let's say, a new phenomenon, and basically we have almost no internal capability. So maybe we should go and ask the Chinese how much energy and whatever, and how clean is the energy they're using to do their own. But not in Europe. The answer was more for the other one. First of all, the idea of the project, because you correctly highlighted this, was to help someone who already had an idea and some development behind to bring it to market. While the impression is that it was more new concept that, and of course, if you start behind, of course, then it's, you are farther from the market at the end of the project. In terms of what help can be provided, there's plenty. It depends on where you are in the, let's say, what distance you are from the market. You know, SME projects and funding has been there for a long time. So if there is an SME which is a startup which is founded or is involved in the project, that they can access that. We have business angels, so you can apply to be supported to bring things to market. And again, this is in the, let's say, IASME domain. But the other point is why the Commission? I mean, you are in a member state, and member states are the ones that normally bridge this gap, not the Commission. So it's a question to you. What is your member state or your region even? There are regions that are trying to fund and nurture new industries or new developments. That's normally where that happens. Because to have this at the European level could be even beyond our mandate. But in any case, as I say, there are some tools which are supporting SMEs. So you should look there. By the way, we have a kind of request which we sent to the partnerships to highlight which projects were needing business angels and stuff like that, because we will have an event, a sort of beauty contest, where there will be something like this. So please provide something. But as someone said, you made the example of Sono Motors Light here. I mean, this is a completely different thing. These guys are trying to enter a market which basically one company, which is Tesla, tried to start from the beginning successfully. Because you have also Chinese companies, which even with all the money they got, they are not going anywhere. The car market, the real car market, is a completely different things from what we are trying to push here. That's why we did a call like that, because we thought that that was a kind of size that could be managed by such a project. A project to help a company from scratch to build a new car, and in some cases some kind of misleading statements like those companies that you mentioned made about their technology, that would be beyond, let's say, our scope. Not only, but there is a tool, which is the European Bank of Investment for that kind of things. There's not a commission.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for our participants.
Oh, sorry, Jan. Sorry.
We are okay.
Yeah.
One fast one, please.
Can you hear me? Oh, good. Thank you. I have lots of questions. Oh, it's off. On? Okay. What am I doing wrong? I have a philosophical, speculative question to start off, and that is, are the e-kick-scooters here to stay? I'm hearing between the lines that it's not quite sure if the sustainability, the durability, if they're sinking money into these projects and it's not sustainable, then they may not be here in 1 or 2 years or 3 years. That's the first question, is, are they here to stay? The second question is even more critical, and that is, do we have any idea about the statistics regarding accidents and the severity of accidents and how accidents occur, and if we have any idea on how to avoid the accidents. I think the helmet is a very good idea. If it works, it'll be tested by the TÜV someday, so we'll find out. But I think that's the first start. But this question about accidents and personal safety, this is really should be at the very top of our list. So thank you. That's the question. That's the primary question. The philosophical question is the e-kick scooter here to stay? Will we see it in 3 to 5 years?
I would say it's a very philosophical question for 5 minutes to close the discussion. I would say yes, because in the end, micromobility and all the different mobility options that we will have in cities need these different aspects of mobility. I don't know if the business model of shared e-scooters with cities without docking stations is the most adapted one. So I don't know if this is the model that will last in cities, but for sure, private ownership and different type of options for e-scooters in cities will last.
I think, I mean, looking even at our behavior, our way of living and so on, well, I think, I mean, nowadays we would like to get a lot of options in terms of mobility. So this doesn't mean, I mean, e-scooter, I mean, it becomes the first one or the last one and so on, but it is one of the options. So I would like to be able to, let's say, to get in my own daily life, I would like to get the opportunity to can be able, I mean, to get the metro, the car, the e-scooter, and so on, but on demand and straightforward, close to me. So this is what we want. That is the point. No? We would like to be able, I mean, to go out and decide which is the right transport means in order to do, in order to go from from point A to B. So this means, I mean, probably I need the e-scooter up to the metro station, and then get the metro, and then get another, and so on. So this should be, I mean, our dream. And this can be done but through the MaaS. That means mobility as a service. It means that we have the whole, let's say, wallet and the whole options, I mean, available on our mobile phone, and then we can decide in every moment we can decide where to get and so on. So this is perfect. And then, but in this case, it means that we need, let's say, a lot of stuff. We don't need just only the e-scooter or something like that. The other stuff it is regarding, I mean, the let's say the safety and then the accident and so on. We are working with the WUFO, which is I think is leading, I mean, organization, institution in Europe and so on. They are trying to, let's say, to combine different data sets and so on, and different member states and different, let's say, institutions and so on, in order to understand. It's not easy. But there are some good news, but we are, let's say, at the beginning.
Okay. Just one final point for the accidents that I forgot. Sorry. For personal opinion again, and from all the reading and studying that we have done through the project, one of the main and key things about safety is having specific lines for bikes and e-scooters. So infrastructure is key in this case to avoid accidents in cities.
Okay. Okay. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much to our panel. Thank you very much for all the questions. I'm sorry that we don't have time for more questions. Don't forget that now you have 30 minutes break for your coffee to maybe ask some questions you want to the project coordinators, to the colleagues of the Commission. Please don't forget that at 4:30 at the Einstein room there will be the stakeholders' experiences of successful interaction and integration of research and innovation activities, so please be there. Thank you very much once again, and I would like to ask for applause for our panel.